So the first step is to decide the colour order in which you'd like your cushion to be. So I'm going to use all of these fabrics here. So you can use as many different fabrics as you want. You need 50 pieces in total. So what I've done here is laid them all out in the colour order in which I'm going to stitch them up, and then I'm going to stitch one segment at a time and another segment and another segment, keeping all the time those colours exactly as they are in that same order. Unless you want to do it random, then of course just have some fun and move the colours around. So then lay your first two colours together on top of each other and sew down this side. So that's my colour one in my range, my collection. So that was the first piece. Then it's this one, so I'm going to put them on top of each other and stitch down this side here. So stitch down the right hand side. I'm going to open that up and I'm going to take my next colour after that, which is blue. So I'm going to grab one of my blue pieces and I'm going to put that one on top again, right sides together, and I'm going to stitch all the way down to the bottom. You can press it as you go, but I tend to stitch a few at a time. I'm going to make one segment and then I'm going to press it all at the end. So I'm going to put right sides together and I'm going to stitch down here again, and it'll open up, and then we can work our way around the whole design. So what I'm doing is putting the right sides together. I'm going to do a little forwards and backwards at the beginning, and we're doing 1/4 inch seam allowance, so 1/4 inch, smaller than we usually would do, and we're going to stitch all the way down from the top all the way down to the bottom. I'm holding the two raw edges together and holding those very tight as I sew. Obviously if you're a bit wobbly or you're using slippery fabrics, do pin this all first. Going to work all the way down. I'm moving the seam allowance from this side over to this side so that I don't stitch into that as I come down, and it's going to go to almost nothing at the bottom. Forwards and backwards at the end, and cut that one off, and then you'll see you'll have our pattern starting to form. Then we're going to take our next section and just keep repeating. I'm going to add the next one and the next one and the next one, always stitching on the right hand side as you go down. There we go. So it's really starting to take shape. And I'm going to take my next section, add that one in. So I've then completed one section. If you're doing it with 5 different fabrics, obviously your section will be smaller and you'll have 2 for there, but I've gone with 10 different fabrics just to add a bit of extra fun to it. So I've completed all of that. I'm now going to give that a nice press, so that's all nicely pressed and finished. So this is one segment done and pressed, and I'm going to carry on and make the second one. You'll note in ours that we are doing it with 10 different fabrics, but say, as I said before, you can do it just with 5 if you want to, or any number of different segments. It's a great way to use up all your scraps. So when you've done your segments, you can then start joining them together. So on here, you'll see that I've joined 2 of them together. I'm now going to add a third one onto the side and just working my way around, adding them as I go. So continue round, adding your sections as you go to make your fan shape. So you can see it's starting to come together. I'm going to add the other section now into the end. Don't worry that it won't lay completely flat. That isn't a problem. We can steam it and press it, and obviously we're going to pull it in with that button in the middle as well. Okay, so I'm going to add that last section in now. So we now have the complete circle for the top part of our cushion. We'll then move on to work on making the back part of it. You'll see that it may not lay completely flat, but that's okay. It doesn't matter because we want it to be that 3D shape when we make it, because we're going to make it into a really big puffy cushion, and then we're going to pull it in the centre with a cover button.